Experts agree that you need one thing to truly become fluent.
Comprehensible input.
Comprehensible input.
Comprehensible input.
Comprehensible input.
Comprehensible input. What is comprehensible input? Well, input, of course, is the language you hear or read while learning, so the vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. Comprehensible means you understand the overall message, even if you don't understand every word. Today, you'll get the comprehensible input you need by learning real-world phrases in context. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. First, you'll learn 15 great phrases you can use in everyday situations. I'll explain the phrases fully and you'll see real-world examples to make sure you get the comprehensible input you need. Number 1, easier said than done. Do you know this phrase? Native speakers, including myself, love using this. Easier said than done. This is used to say that something is more difficult to do than it sounds. So we commonly use this as a reply when someone gives you advice or a solution that sounds simple when they say it, but is actually hard to carry out, which means it's hard to do. So let's say your friend wants to give you some advice and says, just tell your boss you don't want to work weekends. Well, that is easy to open your mouth and say, I don't want to work weekends, but the consequences of that might be more severe. So you can reply back to your friend and say, easier said than done. Now you can add on that's easier said than done, or you can even start with the action in the gerund. Talking to my boss is easier said than done. Now, when you say this, your friend will probably agree and say, yeah, I get that, which means I understand, or you're right, or even I see where you're coming from, which is another way of saying I understand your perspective or your opinion. So maybe your friend knows you want to practice your English speaking skills, so your friend says to you, just start conversations with native speakers. And what can you reply back with? Easier said than done. Or maybe you can use this different phrase and say starting conversations with natives is becoming easier with every lesson I watch. Does that describe you? If it does, put that's right, put that's right in the comments. And don't worry about taking notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description.
Nothing. Okay, so this one, way easier said than done. But as much as you can practice it, you will see it works like magic.
Now, doing this is easier said than done. It's very hard to know, by the way, what it is you take for granted. And the reason is that you take it for granted.
This is easier said than done, but this is the job of the food movement.
Number 2, it's been one of those days. Ooh, do you know what this means? This is used as a full phrase to describe a day full of small problems, frustrations, or stress. So if your friend asks you, how's it going? Or how was your day? You can reply back usually with some tone and facial expression and say, oh, it's been one of those days. Or you might use this as a reason why you're behaving more negatively than normal. You can say, sorry, I'm grumpy. Grumpy means you're a little irritated, angry, annoyed. Sorry, I'm grumpy. It's been one of those days. So that's the reason why. Now you can also use this phrase and then explain the reasons why. It's been one of those days. I missed the train. I was 20 minutes late for an important meeting. I spilled coffee on my shirt, and the vending machine ate my money, which means the vending machine took your money but did not give you the candy bar you so desperately wanted. Now keep in mind, this phrase is used with small problems, frustrations, or stress.
It's been one of those days and I'm angry.
It's been just one of those days.
But it's one of those days where I've just been, really taking it easy. And
Number 3, I love this one. You read my mind. Do you know this one? This means that you said or did exactly what I was thinking. So maybe you say, hey Jennifer, let's stay in, which means stay at home. Let's stay in and watch a movie tonight. Now I can reply back and say, you read my mind. So this means that I was just about to suggest that we stay in and watch a movie tonight. Now, to acknowledge that you and your friend had the exact same idea, one of you can add on a bonus phrase, great minds think alike. Notice this phrase, you read my mind. This uses the verb to read, but is conjugated in the past simple. So of course that pronunciation is the same as read. You read my mind. So the mind is also possessive to whoever is speaking.
Yeah, you read my mind. I got into trouble.
Oh my God, you read my mind, right?
Yeah, you read my mind. I was about to go into that after we cover this. I'll be right there.
Number 4, you need this phrase in your vocabulary. I'm running a bit late. Now, to say I'm running late means I'm going to be late. I'm running a little late, or you can use a bit late. They have the same meaning. This is very commonly used to send a quick text message. Sorry, running late, be there in 10. Now, in text messages, we omit words that are not needed, but in the full form, you would say, sorry, I'm running late. I'll be there in 10 minutes. And notice that to run late, this is most commonly used in the present continuous, I'm running late, because it's taking place now.
I'm actually running a little bit late for tea with the Queen.
I'm running a little bit late.
Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson. Number 5, it slipped my mind. This is one you'll probably use every day. It means I forgot. Now it means I forgot something or to do something. This is generally used to admit you forgot something or to do something, so it's to take responsibility. It's generally used with minor responsibilities or events. For example, your friend might ask you, did you make the reservation? Notice that collocation, you make a reservation, let's say for dinner at a restaurant. And you can reply back and say, oh, sorry, it slipped my mind, which means I forgot to make the reservation. And then you can reply back and say, I'll do it now, or I'll make the reservation now. I had another example I wanted to share with you, but it completely slipped my mind. And notice I use completely to emphasize this statement. Now I could add on, I'm sure the example will come back to me. So the information will return to my mind.
There was one more thing I wanted to ask you about that, but it slipped my mind. Give me 1 second.
I had one other and it just slipped my mind.
So sorry, it just slipped my mind with all the moving, all that stuff.
Number 6, it's not the end of the world. Do you know this one? This is a great one to have. It means it's not as bad or significant as it seems. So I could say to you, making grammar mistakes while speaking is not the end of the world. It's not as significant as it may seem. Or I could say, I'm so sorry, I forgot to make the reservation yesterday. It completely slipped my mind. Now my friend could try to make me feel better by saying, it's not the end of the world, which is like saying, it's not a big deal, or that's okay, or no worries.
It's not the end of the world for the bond market by any means, but the market reaction to the Fed statement and the chairman's discussion was really quite something.
It's not the end of the world if you missed the soccer game.
If it's not absolutely perfect, it's not the end of the world because we're referencing from the same phase every time.
Number 7, Thanks for the heads up. Do you know what a heads up is? This is a warning or advanced notice. Now, this is used when someone gives you useful information ahead of time, so in advance. You can also say just a heads up that we're closing early tomorrow for a private event. So maybe the cafe you normally go to says this to you. Now you can reply and say thanks for the heads up. The because it's a specific heads up. Or you could say I appreciate the heads up. It's like saying thanks for letting me know. So your coworker might say to you, just a heads up that the boss is in a bad mood today. This is an example that one of my students gave during a live lesson, and I loved it so much, I'm sharing it here with you. Now you can reply back and say, thanks for the heads up. Thanks for the information, because now I know I need to behave differently around my boss because she's in a bad mood.
Thanks for the heads up.
Thanks for the heads up of what content to expect.
Thanks for the heads up on the upcoming policies. We'll look forward to seeing how U.S. aid is innovating.
Number 8, don't quote me on that. This is another example that one of my amazing students used, and I loved it so much, I'm sharing it with everyone. This means I'm not 100% sure, so don't repeat what I just said as fact. So this is used when giving information that you're not sure is 100% correct. For example, I think the client is coming at 3:30, but don't quote me on that. It's like saying I may be wrong. Or you could say he might be working from home today, but don't quote me on that. Again, I could be wrong. Notice this is always used in the negative.
I think it's like $1.4 billion. Don't quote me on that.
Don't quote me on that, but I imagine if you Google it, you might find something that would approximate that.
Number 9, just to be on the safe side. Do you know this one? This goes with the last one very well. It means to be extra careful or cautious. So this is generally used when taking a precautionary action. For example, I think the client is coming at 3:30, but ask Mark just to be on the safe side. So just as a precaution. With small everyday things, someone might say, take an umbrella just to be on the safe side. As a precaution, you can start with the phrase, just to be on the safe side, take an umbrella. So notice the phrase can go before or after the statement.
Just to be on the safe side, members of the current administration might want to brush up on their job skills, just in case.
Do I go lower than the norm just to be on the safe side?
Just to be on the safe side, I decided not to remarry and not to have children. So much for that problem.
Number 10, let me get back to you on that. This means I'll reply later after I verify the information. So this is used to delay your answer until you have more information. So it's a great phrase to have. So if someone asks you, when's the client coming? You can say, I think at 3:30. I think the client's coming at 3:30, but let me get back to you on that, just to be on the safe side. So you will verify the information and then let the person know. Now, this is commonly used with social invitations. A friend could ask you, are you free on Saturday? And you don't know what your plans are yet. So you can say to your friend, let me get back to you tomorrow. This is like saying, I'll let you know tomorrow. So to get back to someone means to respond. So if your friend asks you, is Sarah coming to the party? You can say, I don't know. She hasn't gotten back to me yet. She hasn't replied yet.
Yeah, and let me get back to you on that. I will follow up with you. So,
let me get back to you on that. What's your next one? Well, let me get back to you on that. Thank you.
Number 11, let me sleep on that. This means I need more time to think about this decision. So for example, your friend could ask you, are you going to tell your boss what the client said? And then you can reply back and say, I haven't decided. I need to sleep on it. So this is saying I need some time 24 hours perhaps, to think, reflect, analyze, weigh the pros and cons. This can also be used as advice. Your friend could say, I know you're upset, but before you quit, I suggest you sleep on it. You take the night to really consider this decision.
And you can't decide how to interpret it. And so you say, let me sleep on it.
Let me sleep on it. Let me think if I really want to be bitten by this creature.
Let me just sleep on it.
Number 12, I'm on the fence about it. Do you know what this means? This means I haven't made a decision yet, or simply, I'm undecided. So this is used when you're unsure between two or more options. For example, are you going to your ex's wedding? I'm on the fence about it. You haven't decided. Or you could say, I'm on the fence about quitting my job. So about is a preposition. If you use a verb, it's in the gerund. Now, if you say, I'm on the fence about quitting my job, maybe your friend would say, you should sleep on it. Or take more time to decide, just to be on the safe side.
Sort of on the fence about is the road it takes between comedy and drama, back and forth and back and forth.
But I'm still on the fence about it. So I'm trying to make it as transparent as possible.
That's why I'm kind of on the fence about it. I'm going to go with yes, yeah.
Number 13, don't jump to conclusions. This is an important phrase. It means don't judge a situation too quickly or without enough information. So it's used to slow someone down when they're making a quick judgment. So if your friend says, Sarah hasn't gotten back to me yet, remember, Sarah hasn't replied to me yet. She must be mad at me. That's what your friend thinks. Now you can reply back and say, don't jump to conclusion. It's only been one day. She's probably just busy. So don't judge the situation too quickly. Or commonly, my boss asked to see me this afternoon. He's going to fire me. I know it. Does that ever run through your mind? Now, hopefully your coworker says to you, don't jump to conclusions.
So basically, don't jump to conclusions with only a little data.
A Hindu group in India, I'll tell you the name, but don't jump to conclusions. It's not the group you're thinking of.
Don't jump to conclusions or doubt what they're saying or give instant answers or quote Christian cliches.
Number 14, that's a tough call. This is used to say that's a difficult decision to make. So a call is a decision, and tough and difficult are the same thing. So this is used when two options are close in benefits or risk. So for example, the forecast says there's a 45% chance of rain tomorrow. Should we keep the event outside or move it inside? And your friend can reply back and say, that's a tough call. Now maybe they would add on and say, personally, I'd move it inside just to be on the safe side. Or your friend could say, should I accept the job in Chicago or Manhattan? I'm on the fence. I'm undecided. Now your friend can say, that's a tough call. Both are amazing opportunities. You should sleep on it.
Well, I was just going to say that's a tough call, but that's how I would make it.
That's a tough call. And eventually the system's going to fall apart.
It's a very tough call to make.
Number 15, I'll take care of it. This is used to say, I'll handle this task or situation. So this is used when you volunteer for a responsibility. So if you're in a meeting and the boss says, does anyone have time to drop off the package? And there are 5 people in the room. You can say, I'll take care of it. You can also say, I can take care of it. I can take care of dropping off the package. So notice if you specify the verb, it's in the ing form. Or at home, maybe your wife or sister or mother says, I'll make dinner when I get home. Now you say to that person, oh, don't worry about it. I'll take care of dinner. So here, notice it's a noun. You've had a long day. Let me take care of it. So let me accept the responsibility for that. Amazing job. Now let's keep going and you'll improve all areas of your English with the news. The news can be difficult to understand, but with clear explanations and examples, you'll understand the meaning and get the comprehensible input you need.
Our headline, scientists discover new color Olo, and there's a link to The Wizard of Oz. Let's review a link to something. Do you know what this word means, a link to? If there's a link to The Wizard of Oz, it means there's a connection to. So we have the color and we have The Wizard of Oz. They seem like totally different. But if there's a link to them, it means somehow they are connected. In this context, link and connection are noun forms, is also commonly used in the passive voice. So we need to take link or connection and turn it into the verb form. So we could say the new color and the Wizard of Oz are connected, are linked. So this is the passive voice. It's to be connected, to be linked. They mean the same thing. So you take your verb to be and you conjugate that. So in this case, we have two things, the new color, the Wizard of Oz. So it's they are connected. And if you're wondering why my spelling of the word color is different from the article, this is an article from the BBC, so it's British English. There's a spelling difference, but pronunciation and use of the two words are exactly the same. Let's review this sentence, and hopefully you agree with this. Learning English with the news. So all of this is represented as one thing. The subject is it. So that's why I have my verb to be conjugated in third person singular. This is, it is. Learning English with the news is linked to improving my fluency. So you have improving your fluency, learning English with the news, they're connected, they're linked. Now notice here, because to is part of the expression, if you use a verb, you need the gerund verb in ing. Now, you could also say learning English with the news is linked to, so I'll make sure you know that to is required in both of these, to improved fluency. So this is a noun form. So you can have the gerund verb or the noun form. So do you agree with this, that they're connected, that they're linked? If you do, put that's right. I want to know that you enjoy learning English with the news. So put that's right in the comments. And don't worry about taking these notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Now let's learn about this new color. I'm certainly curious about this. A team of scientists claim to have discovered a new color that no human has ever seen before. This use of claim to have discovered is very important because when you include this claim to have discovered, it sounds like the scientists say this is true, but there isn't general agreement among everyone. So if you wanted to state this more as a fact, you would say a team of scientists have discovered a new color. So that's the present perfect because it's a completed past action. They discovered the color yesterday or last week, for example, but there is a result in the present. Now we have a new color. Now we can see something different. Now we have new paint options and many other results as well. But this use of the word claim is very important. So if your friend says to you, my boss claims I'm getting a promotion this year, the use of this word lets you know that your friend isn't buying a new car yet. She isn't convinced. It may happen, but it may not happen. It's not stated as fact. Now, we talked about the word color and how there is just a spelling difference between British English and American English, but the use, the pronunciation, exactly the same. When I read this, a team of scientists claim to have discovered, the use of claim to me seemed a little odd because the subject is actually a team. A team. In American English, a team is considered a collective noun, so it's considered a singular. A team has, the team is. So in American English, it would be more common to say a team of scientists claims with the S because it's the present simple and is third person singular because this of scientists isn't part of the conjugation. The subject is a team, which in American English is viewed as a collective noun. Remember, ultimately, both are grammatically correct and both are understood by native English speakers. A team of scientists claim to have discovered a new color that no human has ever seen before. So notice they say that no human. In the negative, to represent 0, you could also say nobody. Notice the spelling is one word, nobody. Or no one. Notice the spelling is 2 words, but it has the exact same meaning. Now, as we have here, human is a noun. You could also say no person, and person is the singular. So no person, no human has ever seen before. And of course, the verb conjugation is, or the verb tense is the present perfect because they're talking about life experience. Maybe you could say, I've never been to Canada before. That's your life experience, but you still have the possibility to go to Canada, which is why it's in the present perfect. It's not a completed action. Let's continue. But what does the Wizard of Oz have to do with this contested discovery? So this is actually asking about the connection or the link. So said another way, what's the connection? What's the link between? So you need the preposition between, and then you would have 2 or more things. What's the connection? What's the link between the new discovery and the Wizard of Oz? Now, you don't have to use that vocabulary, but because in the headline they used a link, it makes sense to use that again. So that's an alternative. And notice the use of this word contested. This means that not everyone agrees. So there's disagreement. Someone is challenging this and saying it's not a real discovery, for example, which also explains why it's a team of scientists claim to have discovered. The snag is that it's only ever been witnessed by 5 people in the world. And of course, the it means the new color, the contested discovery. Now, what is the snag? This is the problem. So a snag is a problem. You hear this a lot. Let's say I'm preparing a report, I'm writing some code, and I might say, oh no, I hit a snag. This means I encountered a problem. I have a problem. We often use hit, I hit a snag, to mean it came suddenly and forcefully, but you don't need to use hit. Now remember, if you use hit, the conjugations are hit, hit, hit. So the past simple is hit. I hit a snag. Yesterday, I hit a snag. You can also use there is. There is, now you need a because it's a noun. A snag, a problem with the new code, for example. So the snag, the problem, is that it's only ever been witnessed, so another way of saying seen, witnessed, seen by 5 people in the world, and cannot be seen by the naked eye. So, and it, the new color. So technically, there are 2 snags. It's only been witnessed by 5 people. It cannot be seen by the naked eye. What does this mean? The naked eye. Well, it means without the use of tools or other equipment. So right now, there is bacteria on my skin that I cannot see with my naked eye. But if you put my hand under a microscope, which is a tool, and then I look at my hand, I will see lots of creepy, crawly things on my hand. But thankfully, we can't see them with our naked eye. Let's keep going. Indeed, the color said to be a saturated shade of blue-green. Let's talk about indeed. I love this word. I say it a lot. It's used to emphasize, highlight, reinforce something that was previously said. So they're emphasizing the information about the color. You can use this word as just a one-word reply. So if someone says, oh, it's going to be a hot one today, you can reply back and say, indeed. If you want to just emphasize what they just said, it's almost like agreeing with what they said. You could add on and say, indeed. You could say, indeed it is. Or you could do the full sentence, indeed is going to be a hot one, or indeed, I hear it's going up to, and then whatever hot would be for you. For me, anything above 30 would be hot. So 35, oh, that would be a hot one, a scorcher, we could say. I hear is going up to 35. So you can add on an additional statement that highlights the original statement of the fact that is going to be a hot one. And of course, one represents a hot day today. Indeed, the color said to be a saturated shade of blue-green. Do you know what saturated means here? In terms of colors, saturated means it's a very intense, rich, or full color. So this blue on my shirt is not very saturated. It's more of, you have some opacity in it, but this blue is more saturated, for example. So you see the color more. It's rich, it's intense, it's full. And shade in the context of color means the variation or the tone. So there are different shades of blue. There's dark blue, there's light blue. So those are different shades of blue. Now, don't confuse that with shade. If it's a hot day, you want to find some shade, which means protection from the sun. So you could add on, indeed, a good day to stay in the shade. So stay in an area that is protected from the sun or blocked from the sun. So under a tree, under an umbrella, under the roof of a building, for example. So this saturated shade of blue-green cannot be seen without the help of stimulation by laser. So this is how it cannot be seen with the naked eye. So what tool does it need? Not a microscope. It needs stimulation by laser. So remember, in this context, indeed was emphasizing the fact that the color cannot be seen with the naked eye. So they're adding on the fact that it can only be seen with the help of stimulation by laser, emphasizes that fact. So that's how they're using indeed here. The researchers from UC Berkeley and the University of Washington had laser pulses fired into their eyes. In this case, fired into means the laser pulses went directly into their eyes. So that's what fired into means. This Oz vision system technique, so this technique, I guess, of firing laser pulses into your eyes, named in homage to the Emerald City in the novel The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. So of course you know the movie probably without the word wonderful in it, but the novel contains the word wonderful. So The Wizard of Oz. And remember, they were originally asking about the link, the connection between the new color and the Wizard of Oz. So I guess they used this technique, and this technique is named the Oz Vision System. Now, named in homage. This means in tribute to or in respect to something else. So in this case, they named the system, the Oz vision system, to be respectful to the novel and movie The Wizard of Oz. So that's the link, that's the connection between the new color and The Wizard of Oz. Notice in this case, it's in homage, which is very common. You can also use to pay homage. So for example, the statue was built to pay homage or in homage to the volunteers. In American English, I have heard people leave out the H, so to turn the H into a silent H and pronounce it as homage. Now, in the dictionary for the American pronunciation, they do list that as an alternative in the Cambridge Dictionary. And I listened to this word on Youglish, which is a great resource. And I did hear some speakers drop the H, but more speakers pronounce the H. Now, in the dictionary for British English, they only listed the pronunciation with the H. So just know if you've ever pronounced it without the H or you've heard people, just know that is a standard alternative in the dictionary. And the website I mentioned where you can hear native speakers pronouncing a specific word is called Youglish. So you can just put this word homage in Youglish and you'll see all the results and you can see how many times the speakers pronounce the H, how many times they don't. I personally pronounce the H. Named in homage to the Emerald City in the novel The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. So remember, we're talking about this Oz vision system technique, which is basically shooting laser pulses, firing laser pulses directly into your eye. So this system or this technique can allow people to see beyond, so more than past, the normal gamut of color perception. So the normal gamut. Notice that pronunciation, gamut. The normal gamut of color perception means the normal range of color perception. Now you could say the new store offers a wide gamut, so a wide range of products. Instead of saying range, you can say gamut, a wide range gamut of products. And then you could have the categories. There's the category of electronics and clothing. So you can say from electronics to clothing, and it represents everything in between. Now there's an expression that we have to run the gamut of something. And then the something is the category. So let's say the category is emotions. If you run the gamut of emotions, it means you experience the full range of. So I might say to you, you'll run the gamut of emotions when you speak English in public. You'll experience all the emotions, the positive ones, excitement, pride, and the negative ones, fear, nervousness, anxiety. You'll run the gamut of emotions. So that's a great word to have in your vocabulary. Let's continue. We predicted from the beginning. Okay, so we have quotations here, so I know this is a quote. So someone is saying these words. Now, most likely it's these researchers, these scientists, because that's the last person who is referenced. We predicted from the beginning that it would look like an unprecedented color signal. So it being the new color they discovered. But we didn't know what the brain would do with it. So what the brain would do with it, how the brain would react to it, how the brain would interpret or use that new information. Said Professor Ng, it was jaw-dropping. So imagine you're a scientist running an experiment and you look at the results and your jaw drops. Well, there's some sort of shock or surprise, but it can be positive or negative. Your jaw can drop because the results are so terrible, or your jaw can drop because the results are so amazing or positive. So you might say casually, I received a jaw-dropping present. So someone gave you a present, you unwrapped it, you opened the box, and your jaw dropped. But was it positive or negative? You have to give more information. Now here, jaw dropping is an adjective. I received a present. What type of present? A great present, a terrible present, a jaw-dropping present. You can also use it as a verb. You could say my jaw, which is right here, my jaw dropped. So the verb is to drop, but your jaw is the subject. My jaw dropped, so in the past simple, when I received the present. It's incredibly saturated. We already reviewed saturated, full, rich. Let's keep going. Professor Ng told the BBC that Olo, remember this was the name of the new color, that Olo was more saturated than any color that you can see in the real world. Now, maybe you could say that you can see with your naked eye, but I'm not sure if that's an exact translation in the sense that it conveys the correct meaning that the scientists want to mean. But that's grammatically correct, that you can see with your naked eye, with your naked eye. Before they used the naked eye, that's fine. You can use the or you can use your to make it a possessive. The authors of the study believe Oz will help them delve into how the brain creates visual perceptions of the world. Let's review to delve into. So this is a phrasal verb, and it means to investigate thoroughly or to study, review thoroughly. Here's an example in the past simple. The study delved. Notice that pronunciation. This ED is just pronounced as a soft D. Delved. Delved. The study delved into the causes of color blindness. So color blindness is a condition where you are unable to see colors fully or at all. We'll help them delve into how the brain creates visual perceptions of the world. As reported by the BBC, it may also allow them to learn more about color blindness or diseases that affect vision. And vision is, of course, your ability to see. So your ability to see, we call that vision. If your vision is affected to the point where you cannot see at all, you would say she is blind or he is blind. So it's to be blind, blind, unable to see. Could be something you're born with, or it could be the result of a disease or an accident. Now, there's also a term that's common in North America, which is she's legally blind. This means that she has some sight, but her sight is not good enough to drive, for example. So if you're legally blind, you're unable to have a driver's license. And there may be other impacts of that from a government support perspective. So sometimes they use the term legally blind. Now, if a person has a disease that is slowly, gradually affecting their vision and they're losing their vision, you could say she's going blind. So she can see now, but her vision is getting worse and worse and worse, and it's expected that in the future she will not be able to see. So you can say she's going blind. While it does not fully capture the color, the researchers shared an image of a turquoise square to give a sense of the hue. So this gives us a sense of the new color called Olo, but notice they said it does not fully capture the color. So this is not the color. This is just to give us an idea, because remember, only 5 people have seen this color, and they have seen it by having laser pulses fired into their eyes. It cannot be seen by the naked eye. You might be wondering what the difference between hue and a shade is, because before we talked about a shade, not shade, which is shelter from the sun or protection from the sun, but a shade. Because protection from the sun, we actually don't use an article. So you would say, I need to find shade, or I need to find some shade. But here, it's a noun, so you would say a shade, a shade. So someone could look at my shirt and say, oh, that's a beautiful shade of blue, a shade of blue. So a shade is a color that is lightened or darkened. But then hue is just the base color. So you can think of hue as just blue. But then light blue is a shade. Dark blue is a shade, and there are generally names for all of these shades, many of which I do not know. Baby pink is light pink, for example. So if you know the names of the shades for light blue and dark blue, honestly, I can't think of them. So you can share them in the comments. Now, instead of saying, while it does not fully capture the color, you could say, while it does not do it justice. And this means it isn't a perfect example or the best example, but it gives you a general idea. So it's better than nothing. Seeing this for us, at least it gives us an idea of what this new color is. Now, this is commonly used. Let's say I saw an amazing piece of art, or I read a beautiful poem, or I saw an incredible movie, and I'm trying to describe it to you the best I can. So for this piece of art, I'm trying to explain the hues and the shades, but then I can say my description isn't doing it justice. So I'm letting you know that the way I'm describing it isn't the best. But at least you have a general idea of what this beautiful picture or painting is. But I'm encouraging you to see the painting for yourself. So it's a great expression to have in your vocabulary. My description, my review, my summary isn't doing it justice. Now, instead of it, you could say isn't doing the poem justice, the story justice, the painting justice. And that's the end of the article. So I'll read the article from start to finish, and this time you can focus on my pronunciation. Scientists discover new color, Olo, and there's a link to The Wizard of Oz. A team of scientists claim to have discovered a new color that no human has ever seen before. But what does The Wizard of Oz have to do with this contested discovery? The snag is that it's only ever been witnessed by 5 people in the world and cannot be seen by the naked eye. Indeed, the color, said to be a saturated shade of blue-green, cannot be seen without the help of stimulation by laser. The researchers from UC Berkeley and the University of Washington had laser pulses fired into their eyes. This Oz vision system technique, named in homage to the Emerald City in the novel The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, can allow people to see beyond the normal gamut of color perception. We predicted from the beginning that it would look like an unprecedented color signal, but we didn't know what the brain would do with it, said Professor Ng. It was jaw-dropping. It's incredibly saturated. Professor Ng told the BBC that Olo was more saturated than any color that you can see in the real world. The authors of the study believe Oz will help them delve into how the brain creates visual perceptions of the world. As reported by the BBC, it may also allow them to learn more about color blindness or diseases that affect vision. While it does not fully capture the color, the researchers shared an image of a turquoise square to give a sense of the hue.
Think of everything you've learned. Now you'll learn natural expressions and improve your listening skills at the same time. We'll do this as a listening test. You'll listen to a sentence of fast English 3 times. You need to write down what you hear. Now, at first, you may not understand the words I say or the meaning of the words. Don't worry, I'll explain everything in detail so you get the comprehensible input you need. Keep your eyes peeled for the street. Keep your eyes peeled for the street. Keep your eyes peeled for the street. So how'd you do? I said, keep your eyes peeled for the street. Now let's talk about those pronunciation changes. Keep your eyes peeled. Your can sound very unstressed. Your. Keep your eyes. Keep your eyes. And notice how your and eyes link together. You're going to hear that R sound on both sides of the word if we link them. Your eyes, your eyes. So the second word instead of eyes really sounds like rise because it has that R, but you have to say it together. Your eyes. Your eyes. And of course, peeled, that ED is a soft D. Keep your eyes peeled, peeled. And for also becomes very unstressed, fur. Keep your eyes peeled for the street. Now notice you hear that R the most in the word street. Make sure you get that R sound, street. Now, do you understand what this means? To keep one's eyes peeled is an idiom. It means to stay alert and watch carefully. So carefully watch for the street so we don't miss it. Now you could say keep your eyes peeled for the client. Notice you use that preposition for and then something or someone. You can keep your eyes peeled, watch carefully for someone, the client. Now in this example, it's the imperative, which is used for an instruction or a direction. I could also say to you, keep your eyes peeled for any opportunities to practice your English. So remember, for and something, and in this case, the something is any opportunities to practice English. Watch carefully. So are you going to keep your eyes peeled for that? If you are, put that's right, put that's right in the comments. Now let's look at this sentence. She kept her eyes peeled for the trail markers during the hike. So remember, you need to conjugate your verb keep. In this case, it's the past simple, kept. She kept. And you have to make sure the possessive matches the subject. The subject is she, so it's her eyes peeled.
If you're ever in the neighborhood, keep your eyes peeled.
So keep your eyes peeled for the headlines that will bring it.
So while I don't have answers for you here, keep your eyes peeled.
Let's do this exercise again. I'll say it 3 times. Are we still on for tonight? Are we still on for tonight? Are we still on for tonight? Did you hear what I said? I said, are we still on for tonight? Notice how still and on link together, and you'll hear that L sound on. So it will sound like still on, still on, still on. Again, for can become fur, still on for tonight. Da-da. So notice that syllable stress, the first syllable is unstressed, so to becomes that unstressed ta. And then night is your stressed syllable, tonight. Da-da, tonight. Now, what does this mean? Well, this means that we made plans, and I'm confirming that our plans are still happening. So this expression is used socially shortly before plans, maybe the day before or the night before, to confirm the person isn't going to cancel that plan. They're still going to go, to show up. So you could say, are we still on for lunch? Now notice for something. In this case, lunch is the plan we have. Now you can use any time reference. You can say for lunch today, this afternoon, or tomorrow. And this is an alternative to simply asking, are we still having lunch today? So that's the activity. And then I can say, are we still on for lunch? Now, if the activity is known, I can simply say, are we still on for tomorrow if it's known that we're having lunch? So you can just use the time reference. You could also say, are we still on for studying English tomorrow? So the activity is studying English. Now, if I send you a text message and say, are we still on for tonight? You could reply back and say, yep, which is a casual way of saying yes, yep, can't wait. So show some enthusiasm. Or you can say, absolutely, see you at 7 p.m.
You're questioning, are we still on? The confident woman assumes that you're still on.
I'm great, thanks. Are we still on for the kayak trip?
Oh, you bet. I have the kayaks and the equipment.
Let's try this exercise again. I'll say the sentence 3 times. Is the museum walkable? Is the museum walkable? Is the museum walkable? Ooh, did you get this one? Is the museum walkable? So let's talk about the pronunciation for museum. Z. So notice you have that voiced Z sound, museum. And there are 3 sounds, museum, museum, museum. And then the word that maybe you're not familiar with, walkable, walkable. So here there are 3 sounds, walkable. So notice that and then bull. It's not able, it's walkable, walkable. Now let's talk about a very useful word for you to know, to be walkable. So this means that something is close enough to be able to comfortably walk to the location. So is the museum close enough that we can walk there and not be exhausted or sweaty or feel really bad after we get there? Is the museum walkable? So if I send you a message and say, are we still on for lunch today? You could reply back and say, absolutely, but I only have 30 minutes. What's walkable? What's walkable? So what can we walk to quickly because we're short on time? Or I could say a new Thai restaurant opened last week, but I don't think it's walkable. So you can use I don't think, but to make walkable negative, remember it's the verb to be. So you would say, but it's not walkable, or it isn't walkable. There are 2 ways to form that contraction in the present simple. Walkable can be used in a different way, so listen to this sentence. One thing that makes New York City unique is how walkable it is. Most residents don't even own cars. So in this case, walkable is used to describe a geographical area. It can be a small area such as a neighborhood or a large area such as a city, and it means that it's easy to walk in that area.
It's walkable on top of our residential and commercial uses.
These are very different. These are in downtowns, walkable space, no drive-throughs.
They're banal, they're not sustainable, they're not walkable, they're certainly not beautiful.
Let's try this again. I'll say it 3 times. Let's head out early to beat the traffic. Let's head out early to beat the traffic. Let's head out early to beat the traffic. Did you get this one? I said, let's head out early to beat the traffic. Notice how head out combine together to sound like head out, doubt. So you hear that D sound on out, head out, head out. In the word early, you want that long R as well, early. You want to make sure you hear that R, early. Now, to beat, because to is a preposition, it becomes unstressed. To beat, to beat. And then traffic, you don't want to hear the R, you want to hear the vowel. Traffic, traffic. And then beat is the same pronunciation as the vegetable beet. Now, do you know what the phrasal verb to head out means? Native speakers love using this phrasal verb. It means to leave a place or start a journey. So someone could ask you, what time are you heading out? What time are you leaving? But it's whatever place you're at. If you're at your home, it means your home. If you're at work or a restaurant, it means those locations. And then you can reply back and say, I'm heading out in the present continuous. I'm heading out around 6:30 a.m. so I can beat the traffic. Now notice here I said so I can beat, but in my example sentence originally I said to beat the traffic. This is the short form of the purpose clause, in order to beat the traffic, but native speakers generally drop in order and just say to beat the traffic. Now, native speakers also commonly start sentences with a purpose clause. To beat the traffic, let's head out at 6:30 a.m. Remember, this means in order to beat. This is a purpose clause, it's not the infinitive, because in English grammar, we don't start sentences with the infinitive. To make a general statement, you would use the gerund verb. For example, beating the traffic in New York City is always a challenge. Of course, to beat the traffic, this means to avoid the traffic. And if you beat it, it means you get ahead of it. So you leave earlier or later to avoid it. You could also just take specific streets to beat the traffic, to avoid the traffic.
Everybody, let's head out to our areas.
Let's head out into the rainforest and see how she's doing.
Let's head out to the lake. I'll show you around.
Let's do this exercise again. I'll say it 3 times. I tried to get a little shut-eye on the break. I tried to get a little shut-eye on the break. I tried to get a little shut-eye on the break. Did you get this one? I said I tried to get a little shut-eye on the break. Let's talk about to get a little, because those sounds really blended together. To get a little, to get a, to get a. So to becomes that unstressed ta, get a combines together, get a, to get a, to get a. Now little, native speakers, including me, generally pronounce the T's as soft D's. Little, little. Some native speakers really reduce this word and it just sounds like lil, lil, get a lil, get a lil. But you can pronounce those as soft D's. Get a little, little, get a little, to get a little. And then shut I, we turn that T into a soft D because it's between vowels, and you'll hear it on both words. Shut I, die, die, shut I, shut I. Now what is shut I? It's a noun and it means sleep. So you can say I tried to get some shut-eye, a little shut-eye, a few minutes of shut-eye. You could replace shut-eye with sleep in all those examples on the break. Now, shut-eye is commonly used for a short period of sleep, such as a nap. For example, he managed to get some shut-eye on the plane. Now notice the verb is get, so you could say he got in the past simple. He got some shut-eye on the plane. And notice that preposition I used with break, on a break. You could also say during a break. Native speakers commonly use on. And of course, a break in the context of work is a short period of time when you're not working. You can say, I called my friend on my break to see, in order to see, so the purpose clause, to see if we're still on for coffee after work. Now you could also say, hopefully I can get a few minutes of shut-eye before we meet. I'm exhausted.
Let's get some shut-eye.
New studies show that those who are under stress and don't get enough shut-eye could age up to 6 times faster than they would otherwise, giving a whole new meaning to the term beauty rest.
For others, losing shut-eye can result in hormonal imbalance, illness, and in extreme cases, death.
Now let's do a shadowing exercise so you can repeat after me and practice all these pronunciation changes. I'll say each sentence and you need to repeat after me. And I'll say each sentence 3 times. Keep your eyes peeled for the street. Keep your eyes peeled for the street. Keep your eyes peeled for the street. Are we still on for tonight? Are we still on for tonight? Are we still on for tonight? Is the museum walkable? Is the museum walkable? Is the museum walkable? Let's head out early to beat the traffic. Let's head out early to beat the traffic. Let's head out early to beat the traffic. I tried to get a little shut-eye on the break. I tried to get a little shut-eye on the break. I tried to get a little shut-eye on the break. Amazing job. Do you want me to make another lesson where we practice fast English? If you do, put yes, 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 put yes, yes, yes in the comments below. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And here's another lesson I know you'll love. Watch it now.